So one of my favorite ways to evaluate homebrew is a blind taste test against my homebrew and commercial examples. So today, I'm going to taste my homebrew against 4 commercial American porters. Well, let's see how it turns out. Well, I appreciate you stopping by Cascades Homebrew. My name is Brent. So a lot of what I put on my channel is more about giving you ideas, things you can do to try to evaluate your homebrews or to brew better beer. So don't just take my word for how good a yeast is versus another yeast or one process versus another, but kind of take some inspiration from me and brew your own experimental beers. So as part of evaluating my American Porter homebrew, what I'm going to do today is taste it against 4 different commercial beers and see how it compares. I'm going to be tasting it blind, so I won't know which is which. So I found it's a good way to get some unbiased information, both on your homebrew and then also just kind of seeing what commercial beers I may like in American Porter. And then I could potentially look up information on those and see what they've done differently than what I've done. So today, I've picked 4 commercial beers. You don't necessarily have to do a taste test against 4 different commercial beers. You can just do 1 versus yours or 1 or 2 versus yours. In this case, I just thought it'd be more interesting to do 4 at once, but that means 4 beers plus my homebrew, so 5 beers. So luckily, today's Thanksgiving, so my girlfriend's over, so she's gonna help me finish off the beers, so I don't have to drink all of them myself. So what 4 commercial porters did I pick out? So one of them, Black Ox from Old Ox Brewery. Old Ox is a Northern Virginia brewery. They're one of my favorites. They don't just chase all the trendy styles. They make some pretty solid beers. Plus I'm friends with some of the management. They've been supporting homebrew clubs for years. The other beer I have is Green Man Porter. I've been down to Green Man years ago. They're down in Asheville. But I don't know that I've ever had this specific porter. I looked it up. It's won some medals, so that should mean it's a good example of an American porter. The other porter I have from Port City Brewing. They're again another Northern Virginia brewery that makes really solid beers. I've had this one, it's been a while. One of the caveats for this one, it's kind of a higher ABV. I think it's up at, 7.2%, which is kind of higher than the style. So it'll be interesting to see if that impacts some of the tasting. The other one is a porter from Founders. They're from Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, so I have a little bit of fondness for Michigan breweries. When I looked it up, this one has also won multiple awards, so it should be a good example of the style. All right, time to drink some beers. So what I'm gonna do is have my girlfriend help me pour these blind, so I won't know which is which. And then I'm going to go through and evaluate them, kind of on an informal scale. I'm just kind of really looking for some of the characters that I like and what I may like in an American porter, and specifically what I think an American porter should taste like. But I'm going to look at all of them on appearance, aroma, mouthfeel, flavor, and then kind of overall. So I'll go ahead, taste the beers, take some notes. All right, well, let's open these beers. I'll be back in just a second. So here we are, 5 American porters to drink. 1 of them my homebrew, 4 of them are commercial beers. We're going to start, call this one beer 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So initial thoughts, appearance, the head retention on all of them looks kind of low. This one's got a little bit more head than any other ones. It could just be an issue with my glasses. I tried to kind of clean them out, but maybe I did something negative to them before the tasting. So let's go in, try them. Like I said, I'm going to try to quickly run through, evaluate. I'm not going to bog down the video with all the details. Be interested to see if I'm able to tell which one is my homebrew out of these. So beer number 1. Nice dark color. This one's got a little bit more head retention than some of the other ones. Notes of coffee, chocolate. Smells quite nice. Go in for mouthfeel and flavor. Okay, good. Maybe a little bit of astringency, a little bit of acrid kind of blend, like the aroma, that coffee, chocolate, roasty character. All right, so that's a pretty good beer. Beer number 2. A little less aroma. Nice, pleasant, just a little bit more mild. Appearance, dark, ruby. I think they're all, looks very similar in color. Just you get some ruby highlights around the end, but it's a nice dark color. Again, I'm not getting a lot of head retention on this, but if we shake it up a little bit. All right, let's go in. Okay, it leans a little less of the chocolatey, maybe a little bit more acrid notes. Seems a little one-dimensional, but again, not a bad beer, good beer. All right, we'll go on beer number 3. Appearance on it, that one looked a little darker than the other ones. I'm not seeing barely any light around the edges of it. A very similar aroma. a little, maybe leans a little bit more dark roasty. Flavor, that seems very similar to this one. It seems pushes a little bit of that more darker roasty, acrid kind of notes I get. A little less of the sweetness. Okay, again, as I expect, these are all nice beers. All right, so we're on beer 4. It's got a little bit more of a complex, you know, chocolate and coffee kind of notes. Smells really nice. All right, that's also quite nice. This reminds me a lot of the first one. Yeah, honestly, beer number 1 and 4, I think I would have a hard time telling the difference. They seem very similar. They both definitely kind of push a little bit of that chocolate and coffee kind of notes that I'm looking for in a porter, a little less, where I think these two had a little bit more of that kind of burnt, acrid kind of character. And if we go for the final beer number 5, I feel like I get a little bit more kind of esters, some yeasty esters on that one on the nose. A little, you know, roasty, maybe a little bit of kind of coffee chocolate, but not a little bit. Definitely get more, whether it's hop aroma or it's esters from the yeast. I get a little bit more something on that one. All right, so that one's a little bit more, we'll say smooth. I don't know if it's necessarily good or bad. Less, just kind of less flavor. It definitely does not have the acrid roast character. It's got just kind of a mild, you know, kind of coffee flavor, kind of medium level of sweetness on it. All right, do I have any final thoughts before we do the reveal of which beer is which? Like I said, so beer 1 and 2 color, or just a little bit lighter color. These ones are just a little bit darker, but they all fit right in the style. I talked a little bit about aroma on them. I felt like beer 1 and 4 kind of both fit into more of where I like it in American porter. So I felt beer 2 and 3 maybe pushed a little bit into what I think of a stout character, a little bit more of the burnt acrid, you know, and it's not necessarily always in a negative way, but just a little bit more kind of roasty character than I want to. I felt beer 5 was a good beer, and I think it could appeal to some. I just felt like maybe the porter and the roast characters were a little muted, like maybe it was more of a robust brown ale than it was an American porter. And like I said, I don't know that I could tell the difference between, I tried them, I really couldn't tell the difference between beer 1 and beer 4. So, and I think those were my favorite, but it's a tie. I couldn't pick one over the other. So let's go ahead and see which one is which. So this is Old Ox, again, local brewery, really nice beer. Nice to see them represent. Oh, this was my homebrew here, was our beer number 2. And Port City, again, so that was one that was a higher ABV one. Nothing really jumped out at me as like, oh, this feels big and alcoholic. Founders was one that I liked quite a bit, and sorry, my fan kicked on. I turned that off. The last beer then was the Green Man one, which again, that was a good one, just a little bit kind of muted. So that's good. So I wasn't sure if I would be happy if one of the ones I liked the best was my homebrew, or if I had some ideas from some of the others. So like I said, so I thought, so my homebrew was number 2. Again, I thought maybe just a little bit too much of that kind of burnt acrid kind of character was in there. Whereas I thought both of these, there was the Old Ox and the Founders, were both kind of what I'm looking for in an American porter. I think they just had a little bit more emphasis on that chocolate, coffee, sweetness, a little bit of burnt character in them, definitely some robustness to them. They're not brown ales. Like I thought the Green One was just a little bit kind of tame in some of those. So what I'm going to do then, I can look up some information. I know Old Ox, I believe, is a rye porter. I don't know what that impact would be. I could maybe even ask the brewery of information on the recipe. Founders, I would not be surprised if there's information on clone recipes or information from the brewery. So what I'm going to do then is look some ideas there, see if there's something that I can pull into my porter when I brew it again. So I hope you found this valuable. So again, if you're looking for a way to evaluate your home brews, it's a great way. Also, it's a good excuse to drink some more beer. So to me, it gave me some good confidence that my homebrew really does kind of match up well with commercial beers, but also gave me some information on how I could potentially improve my homebrew and improve this specific recipe. So if you find this kind of interesting, make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you stick around for more of my Road to Gold series. So I'm going to try to make some revisions to my American Porter recipe, try to brew some batches, try to get it in some competitions, and see if I can win a medal. So thanks for stopping in. Cheers!